Welcome to Grace Talks, produced by Grace Media Productions and hosted by T-Dub Entertainment. Grace Talks is a podcast that informs and inspires to help you grow gracefully. Here you can enjoy great conversations, experience special guests, and encounter grace moments. Tune in now for an all-new episode of Grace Talks. Welcome to Grace Talks, where we explore the power of grace in our lives. My name is Terrence Williams, also known as T-Dub, and today we will be discussing the theme of healing from the past. We have all had past experiences that have hurt us, whether it's a traumatic event, a broken relationship, or a lost opportunity. These experiences can shape our present and future, sometimes in negative ways. But what if we could find a way to heal from the past and move forward with a renewed sense of hope and purpose? Well, that's what we will be discussing today on Grace Talks. We will explore the different ways that past experiences can impact our lives and how can we use these along with the power of grace to heal and move forward. We will also be sharing practical tips and strategies for coping with and overcoming past hurt. Whether you're struggling to move on from a specific event or just looking for ways to live a more fulfilled life, this episode is for you. So join us as we dive into the topic of healing from the past and discover the power of grace in our lives. Thank you for tuning in to Grace Talks. On today, our special guest to help us walk through this process of healing, we have the illustrious, the elegant, the effervescent Mrs. Asia Mathews. She is the owner of Mathews and Company Printing and Embroidery. She has recently published her first ebook, The Modern Entrepreneur, available on Apple Books. Her hobbies include reading, traveling, and spending time with her family. Welcome to Grace Talks, Mrs. Asia Mathews. Hey.
Thank you so much. What was
Hey,
that?
fam. Hey, fam. Hey, Landon.
Look, I'm trying to get Landon. Okay, he's going.
He didn't feel like talking to me.
Illustrious. That's different. I've never been called illustrious in my life.
Well, welcome to Grace Talks. Thank you so much for doing an episode on our new season.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your platform.
Well, we're doing our first sip and say, taste and talk.
I need to sip and say party.
Say again?
I need to have a sip and say party. I like that.
Okay, well, I may have to do a virtual because we're not in the same city anymore. And I take offense at the fact that you're doing this after I move away.
Sorry.
That's all you got? That's all you can.
We're gonna figure it out.
So this is what we're sipping on tonight. It is an organic, I don't think you can see it because of our lighting, but it's an organic vodka made by Austin premier called Frankly Organic. And it's the flavor is organic apples and organic ginger root vodka.
Sounds amazing.
And you are sipping on?
This is Don Julio and margarita mix. So I got a good little high class margarita going on here.
Okay.
Top shelf.
Okay. Okay. I feel that. Okay. Give me 1 second here. So tell me, what is happening with you today?
Today was a day. I worked. Got a lot of stuff done, a lot of necessary stuff, but
Uh-huh.
it was work. It took me a minute to get out of bed this morning.
Why is that?
Um, well, I think because I'm in a season where I am battling not feeling sorry for myself.
Aha.
And I can honestly say that I see how people slip into depression, but I think because I'm so driven and I know who I am and what I'm capable of, I just
Mm-hmm.
won't allow to put me in a space to where I'm stuck. So I fight as hard as possible when it comes to getting sucked into that. You know, you wake up with those thoughts like, it's another day. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And, sometimes I have to give myself a pep talk, but I always get through it. So
Okay.
it was it
Listen,
was one of those days.
I get that. I definitely get that. We definitely um it's a daily fight. It's a daily fight
Mhm.
in one way or another. And see, I'm not, listen, we haven't asked one question yet.
Look,
I'm
you
supposed
jumping.
to, I'm supposed to be the Barbara Walters of this podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Go ahead. I'm listening.
But you trying to pull stuff out already. See, you as a slickster
I'm,
one.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we have known each other for some time. Um
Mhm.
Audience, I am privileged to know Mrs. Mathews for a lot of years. I'm not sure, but I'll ask you, do you remember how we met or
Mm,
when we met?
no.
Well, all I know, I don't remember the year. All I know is that you were about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember that. I for some reason like I subconsciously threw away everything that happened in my life prior to 2016.
Oh, good. Now we're gonna
I don't
talk
have
about that.
like,
We're gonna play like come on, fam. Come on, man. Come on, fam. That's what I'm talking about. What's happening?
Good yourself.
I'm great. Happy New Year, man.
You as well. I'm headed to the J.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. I'm working on the J right now.
Hey man, at you. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Happy New
All
Year.
right, man. Take it light.
The food's outside. I'm about to go grab it.
okay.
So you were about 8 or 9, and I believe the first encounter probably was us meeting at my aunt's house in New Orleans. Like I said, or maybe it was at your family house. I can't remember. I remember a house that you all lived in. Probably Gentilly. Is that about right? Does that make sense? You don't recall. Okay. She's just doing wonderful in segment one, everybody. This is background information to make sure y'all know
Listen,
who we talking to.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
you know what? I remember having a lot of great memories with you, but I don't remember the specific day that we met, but I can recall you being there when I needed you most or needed anybody. And I think that's more important than the first day because the first day may have been like hey.
Yeah, that's
Like,
pretty that now see, your memory is working because that's about exactly how it went.
but yeah,
Oh,
I,
that's
I
nice.
recall I
Yeah.
can recall every interaction, every conversation, every babysitting moment that I needed of you, like I can recall all of that. And every interaction that we've ever had has always reminded me that God is real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was deep, but yeah.
Cheers. So I'm guessing that you're saying that remembering the young years of family life, school, or even your neighborhood is kind of a blur to, because what we're trying to comprehend is what helped to make the present Asia. What was it happening in childhood years or adolescent years where you said, things that from the past got you to the person that you are currently? Do you remember what your favorite thing to do as a child was, or favorite thing as a child that you did?
Well, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Bratz dolls, fashion, anything of the sort, and I wanted to be a fashion designer so bad, which is very funny that I'm in the industry that I'm in right now because it kind of goes hand in hand, but then again, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I, I don't know. I think because of how Hurricane Katrina happened, because I was so young. I was 13 when the hurricane hit New Orleans. So anything that happened before that was kind of like those really, really, how do I say it? I remember bits and pieces, but I can't put things together
Okay.
because I was so young.
Okay.
And when everything you've ever known when you're that young is kind of wiped out and you're having to start a whole new life, it's like I for sure don't remember anything before 2005. I
When
remember
you
some
when
people.
when you say wiped out, are you speaking in a negative connotation or just literally the lack of memory?
Well, I mean, in terms of, okay, so for me, I was actually having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I was looking at her childhood pictures, and she's from Houston,
Mhm.
and I was just like, we're just laughing because of, all of the pictures of her when she's 4 and, 10 and just all of these pictures from her youth. And I was saying, I only have like 2 or 3 pictures of me from when I was a kid. And she was like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, the hurricane happened when I was, fairly young. So we didn't have, when we came to Houston, we thought it was just going to be a quick trip. We didn't know that it was going to be a life-changing situation.
That is true.
So yeah, like we didn't prepare to shift our whole life. But I pretty much moved my entire life from New Orleans to Houston in a duffel bag. And the only thing that I can recall is what was in that duffel bag. So
So your life became or evolved from a duffel bag.
yeah. And it's funny because she was saying, now I understand why you don't have attachment to things. Why it's so easy
Mm,
to move to the next level because you're not attached. Whereas some people, they look at certain things and certain people and situations and they feel like, well, I've been with you for so long, or, I've known this for so long, or I've had this for so long. I don't have attachment to things. I don't.
wow. That's
Yeah.
that's profound right there in itself. Um, in looking back to what you can remember,
hmm
do you feel that there was a creative side in you from a
Yes.
young, as far back as you can remember? And I get that a lot of years have been um, taken away in memory, but as far back as you can remember, do you recall there being a creative side that you did, creativity in artwork or creativity in playing or music or something of that nature?
Yeah, like I used to write stories. Like I would come up with these fascinating stories and just write them down. Like I would write like little mini books in my notebook at school. And of course, I was a part of the choir, but now that I look back on it, I really couldn't sing well. But they wasn't gonna tell me that as a kid. They wanted to boost my confidence.
But you know how
But
that goes.
but yeah, I feel like for the longest I've always been creative. Like I've always known that it was something inside of me that set me apart,
Hmm.
even as a young kid. Like I've always known this. I knew I wasn't the most popular. I for sure wasn't the most beautiful or had the best figure, growing up. It wasn't until I became a woman that I've learned, who I was physically. But I've always known it was something inside of me that was different from everyone else.
So
And
you said something right there. I apologize for cutting you off. But you said something right there that I want to tap into. So you talked about not being the best or the most. So
Mhm.
here's my question. How did you deal with it? If you felt that way or people made you to feel that way, how did you deal with the not being the most or not being as others are? What was your method of dealing with it?
I would probably say I think I just didn't. Like I was okay not being the prom queen. Like I was okay. Like I've always been okay being the person to the left of the one standing in the spotlight.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't know why, but I never I never seek validation. And I love that for me. I love that I didn't grow up in the spotlight, because I feel like sometimes when kids, especially in high school, they are, the biggest sportsman or the prettiest cheerleader, they feel they have to live up to that standard. And when they don't, they feel defeated.
That's
I
good.
think because I didn't start from being on a pedestal, I was able to work my way up at a different rate. So I'm kind of glad that I was always background noise, honestly.
Some would describe that as a form of trauma, but we oftentimes look at it as being just a part of childhood. Do
Mhm.
you feel that those experiences had uh, a moment that you needed to heal from? Do you feel like any of that, um, as you grew, as you became in an adult form, do you believe that there was healing that was necessary from whatever you experienced in those years?
Yeah, I do feel like it took me a while to believe in myself, because when you don't have 1,000 people telling you you're beautiful, or telling you, you're the smartest, or just giving you that sense of you are this,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
complimenting you in that way,
Mm-hmm.
I had to do a lot of studying. I had to do a lot of reading. I had to listen to a lot of sermons, a lot of podcasts to find out who I was, because no one ever told me. So it took years of me trying to be a better woman than anything that I imagine myself to be. So it was rough in the beginning, because I could tell, in my early days, coming out of high school, like I knew I didn't fully believe in myself, but I always knew it was something deep down inside of me. And for me, it was just like, I know that I'm more. So I just have to figure out how to get to more. And once I did, it just skyrocketed. And now I'm happy.
So we have to figure out how to get to more. Wow.
Mhm.
I like that. I'm gonna have a pause, a Selah moment, pause and think about it. And as I'm thinking about it, we'll take our first break and we'll be right back after this.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. No, wait. It's free. There's creation tools that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. No, wait, did you hear me? It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Asia, I need you to tell me. I've been wondering this for many, many years. I know the word cashmere with a C, but when you started your what I believe was your first business, you called your business a certain name that included the name Cashmere with a K. Can you please answer for me and our audience, where did this name Cashmere with a K come from, really? Where did it begin? Why did you choose this?
Okay. You ready for this one?
It's a background story. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So some people, of course, on my social media know this, but when I was 19, I started waitressing in, well, 18. I started waitressing in strip clubs. And, it was nice, different. I was probably making anywhere between $100 to $700 in a night. And for an 18-year-old, coming out of high school, like that's pretty good. Like even if I
Hold
was
up.
just making
Hold up. Are you saying to me you was a waitress and getting $700 in the night?
make that on the high end. So
Okay, because I'm in the
on a
wrong field, clearly.
yeah, on the well, you have to have certain criteria to be a waitress. Unfortunately, you don't meet that, but we're gonna figure something out that's in your ministry. But I was a waitress. I waitressed at a club out here in Houston, and all the while I was waitressing, mind you, I'm 18. I did not know how I looked from a man's standpoint because I had just gotten into the world, really. So I would, meet all of these customers and they would just like tell me like you are beautiful, you finding in some of these dances in here. And I think it really started going to my head. And I had never, because I was so young, I had never tapped into the intimate part of me. So I never thought, oh, my body is a certain type of, like this never even crossed my mind. Like it's not like it is now where these kids in high school, they're comparing themselves to grown women on social media and, all of these different people. But I came out of high school in 2010. So, back then social media wasn't nearly as big.
Right, right.
And so I had to find out about my sexuality basically on the streets. Like I didn't have a phone in my hand or, social media in my hand to tell me like, oh, you're, all these people in the comments just, pumping my head up. Like I didn't have that. I had people in these clubs, pretty much telling me like, you're beautiful. Like you have a amazing body. And I kind of just was like, really? I never thought about it like that. And eventually I started stepping into that role. And there will be some nights where, like I said, I would make all the way up to like $700 in a night sometimes on a good night. And then one night in particular, I had made like $1,300 because one of the managers at the club ended up putting me in a section with a rapper that had came in. And even though I made $1,300, it was still something about me seeing those dancers making $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000 that just kind of made me think. And it's so funny because we say you can never have enough money because once you get to a certain amount, you're gonna want more, but that's a real thing. Because being 18, 19 years old, I couldn't fathom making $1,000 in a night. I couldn't fathom making $1,000 in a week. So for me to be living that lifestyle and to see them doing better, it was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. That chump change $200-$300. What is that? Like that's chump change. Now to the average person, that makes 12 to 15,000 an hour, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But to someone who's making fast money and seeing all of this money, I was just like, yeah, that the $200-$300, that's not gonna cut it. I have to make more.
Understood.
And it became a lifestyle. And I started dancing and people knew me as Asia. I would just use my, name because Asia is cute, but at the same time, it makes a statement.
And you don't expect a lot of people to that be their actual name.
Right. It's not like Brittany or Jasmine or something like that. So, with me not having a common name, I just went with it. And, it started off with me working in clubs as a dancer, and that transitioned into me working in the bigger clubs. And when I got to Onyx, let me go back. Prior to me going to Onyx, I had changed my name to Star. I don't know why.
These names that you're coming up with are just amazing. I'm just sitting here going, just different.
Yeah.
Eclectic, illustrious. Now you get it.
Right. And because when I got to Onyx, so there was someone named Asia and there was someone named Star at Onyx already. So I said, what am I going to, like, I need something. And I didn't just want to pick anything because like choosing a name is like, it's your identity. Like imagine if you could go back to birth and choose your own name. Like it's pretty hard. Like you would want to, think for a long period of time. And I was standing there and I said, well, I'm gonna go to strippernames.com and find that's a real website. No, that's a real website. So I said, I'm gonna go to strippernames.com and I am going to find something. And I started
to write that down.
Yeah, right. If anyone needs a reference. So I started scrolling.
You've heard it here on Grace Talks.
I started scrolling through the A's and it was like Angel and crazy stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, no. Started scrolling through the B's. It was like busty and I didn't have any boobs. So, and then I got to C's and I saw cashmere. And I was just like, oh, that's different. And then the girl that I was talking to, one of, another dancer, she was just like, you should make it with a K. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to do that. That's different. And
that
The rest is history.
that was
Yeah.
I promise you, I've been thinking all this time that there was something deep
No,
that
it wasn't deep at
transpired to
all.
create
It
it.
wasn't deep at all. It was a drunk thought. It was not deep at all.
I'm
Nothing
sorry,
about
repeat
it was
that.
deep.
It was a
It was
what?
a drunk thought. But you know what? Drunk thoughts are the best thoughts. Let's
Okay.
be clear.
Listen, you ain't got to preach hard on that one. I can okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So I had been in there for a while, and I used to meet all kinds of people. Like people don't understand how much you can market yourself in environments like that. Because from the outside looking in, of course, especially people who've never been in strip clubs, like they think it's just a whole bunch of nudity and provocative, things going on. But sometimes it's actually networking going on. And for me, that's exactly what it was.
I've
And I
heard
met this.
business meetings happen at strip clubs as well.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I met this guy who turned into my mentor. And, I told him that I was in school because I was going to college at the time. I was going to TSU. And, he was just like, why are you in here? And I was just like, well, I have a daughter. Like I have finances. Like I have bills. Like I have a lot going on. Like I don't have a choice right now because I'm trying to go to school during the daytime. I'm a mother. I'm this. I'm that. I was running track at the time. Like I was doing so much to the point where a day job just did not work for me. I needed something to not only make sense financially, but I needed it to make sense for my time.
Yes.
And it was just what happened. And he was just like, basically saying it, but not saying it, but I'm going to take you under my wing. And at first I thought he was trying to pimp me between me and you.
Okay.
But he actually turned out to be an amazing person. And he got me my first internship with ABB. He put me in so many positions to meet all of these different people. And I kept connections with him all through college. And when I was taking my graduation pictures for TSU, Nala, my daughter, had actually graduated kindergarten the exact same time I was graduating with my master's. So we did a photo shoot, and a picture of me putting the graduation cap on her head went viral on Instagram, right?
Really?
This was before viral was a thing. This was
Okay.
before people intentionally trying to go viral, because
Okay.
I wasn't intentionally trying to go viral. It just happened. I didn't realize like how, inspiring the picture was, because in my head, I'm just putting a graduation cap on her head. I didn't think nothing of it. We're just taking pictures.
Yeah.
And funny thing, my page went crazy. I went from having like 2,000 followers to like 10,000 within probably a week. And it went to, I want to say 16,000 or something like that. And it just went crazy. And he told me, he said, you need to find some kind of way to capitalize off of all of this attention. Right. And I was just excited that I was getting more followers. Like I wasn't worrying about money. This was before people were on Instagram trying to sell things.
Right.
And
it's still social. Everything is social.
Right. It was social. It was really a social platform. This was before the chronological order got ruined and the algorithm and all of this got switched up. This was before people were doing things for attention.
Right.
They were just posting their everyday lives.
Right.
And I thought about it and I was just like, well, I don't know what to like, how am I going to make money off of these followers? And he was like, you need to figure out what you like to do and find some kind of way to make a business. And I was just like, okay, what do I like to do? And again, I've always liked clothes. Like I wanted to be a fashion designer since I was a kid. So I said, well, since I'm getting this attention from being a mom, let me create a brand to where I personalize kids' clothing, writing their names on things. And these were things that I used to do for Nala all the time. I used to go to stores, get rhinestones, put her name in rhinestones on her bags, and
Okay.
just do all kinds of stuff. So I started a business out of it, and the business went fairly successful. I was probably making about maybe $900 to $2,000 a month my first couple months in business, which was, pretty good relative to not having a business at all. And I knew that I needed to make it make sense to align with what I was doing. So
let's ask this question. So
mhm.
you transitioned from, are you saying that at that point you stopped dancing?
Oh no, I
One
was still there.
okay.
I was still there, and that's where the business name came from. The business name was King Cashmere's Creations. I
Okay.
had a thing for crowns and castles and stuff. I don't know why. I'm like obsessed with Disney princesses. So, I saw this funny quote long time ago. It says, sometime the king is a woman. And I called myself King Cashmere because I felt like I earned that right. Like I in
Ah,
my household. I'm a single mom. Like
okay.
I'm the head of this castle. And that's where the business name came from, King
Okay.
Cashmere's Cake. And it eventually, funny thing, a customer pointed out, well, that's KKK. So I don't know if I want to support that brand. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I gotta throw that away. So yeah, it was
I
yeah.
honestly never, and for those of you who are watching this, when it goes online, I am wearing product that she actually created for me, for my
Mhm.
business. But I honestly can say I never recall paying attention to and making that connection of KKK. I as much, I guess
Nobody
because of our,
nobody
I guess it's because
did.
of our connection, history.
Yeah.
It was just like support. I just support. I never even made that connection.
Yeah. I didn't either. Like when I created it, it was just like I said, I used to call myself King Cashmere. And when it came to creations, I just thought I wanted it all to align. But yeah, no, that never entered my mind until somebody pointed that out. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I should probably change this, because if this person is thinking this, then how many other people are
Wow.
thinking that? So, which in hindsight was probably the best decision I've ever made. So,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this. So that would bring me into my next question, and that is
Mhm.
this. Uh, this was your first business, so there
Mhm.
had to be some lessons. There had to be some trials. There had to be some errors. There had to be some ups and some downs. Can you give us?
Yeah.
And I am privy, because of our connection. I am privy to knowing some ups and downs, some good, some bad, some stressful moments. Um,
Mhm.
can you dive into, and you can go as deep as you want, or you can go as surface as you want, but can you provide for our audience some abuse, some lies, some lessons that you learned from running your very first business, and some of the things you had to endure?
So I would probably say the first time I experienced a negative part of business was when someone did a chargeback against me. It was a custom diaper bag,
Hmm.
and the person, I had shipped it out. I sent them pictures prior to me doing it. They fell in love with it. I shipped it out and they got it, and they called their bank and said, I never ordered this. And I was just like, are you serious? I think it was like a $40 diaper bag plus shipping and taxes, came out to being like maybe 50, 60 something dollars, give or take.
Okay.
And the thing about chargebacks is people don't know, but you have to pay a fee every time someone does a chargeback against your business.
So you lose
So
the 60, the 50, $60 plus
no,
in addition.
let's start. Let's start with this. You lose the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lose shipping costs. You lose the actual profit. Anything that you've spent, you lose that fee, that specific fee, and now you're having to prove to your payment processing company that you're not scamming.
Wow.
So it's a whole when people do, and right now, funny I said that because right now I actually had 5 chargebacks in the last 3 months. And I'm learning that as business grows, people are going to do that. There are people in this world that will purchase something online and call their bank and get their money back. There's people in the world that will go into Walmart and then call their bank and say, "Well, I didn't do this," and I get it from a business standpoint. They feel like, okay, she's big business from what they see online. She's this, she's that, so she can afford to take this type of loss. But when you think about all of the things associated with a chargeback, it's bigger than what they think it is. They think, oh, I'm just taking this $200-300 back, when in reality, no, you just took $600 out of my pocket. So it's business, and I used to take it very, very personal. Like, I cried about it, would get online, vent about it, be upset. But now it's just like, what can you do? But
Why are
keep
you
on
trying?
pushing.
Why are you trying to move so quickly? I'm gonna get to the right now. We want to
Okay,
we
sorry.
want to deal with the evolution. So
Okay.
that's good. Did you ever want to fight? I mean, can we just be real about this thing? I mean, did you ever want to cuss these people out? This is Grace
Oh,
talk.
of course,
There's Grace here.
of course, of course. When the very first chargeback that I got, the one that I was telling you about, she actually lived in the same city. So I wanted to pull up. That's what I wanted to do. But someone, I can't remember who, said to me, just imagine what type of trouble you will get yourself into if you had have done that. And at the time, I actually had 2 assault cases already. So one more event of me putting my hands on somebody probably could have landed me in a very bad spot. So I'm glad that I did let it go, and that was just that. But yeah, it's plenty of time. Even now, like, I look at certain situations like, how are you okay with taking money? We say we want to support Black owned businesses. Let's get into that. We
Mm-hmm.
say we want to support Black owned businesses, but the people, every single person that I have ever gotten charged back from was a Black woman. And I'm not even joking. Like,
That
every single person.
that's something
So
else.
yeah, for me, it's just like, I'm learning that I can't base my life off of, quote unquote, supporting my people, because your own people will tear you down quicker than a mixed race.
Do you need to say that again? I'll
I
give you an extra couple
probably,
seconds if you need to say it
I
again.
probably do. I have had the worst experiences with Black women, and I don't know if it's because we have to play a who is better game with each other, but it's like, now that we both get recognition, you want to seem like the better person. So you have to be a mean girl, or you have to be, you have to show your dominance in a sense. Anytime I have ever had any transactions with men or women outside of my race, they have been so understanding, and So, even when I was the person that made the error, because I do make mistakes in business all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
they are more open to understanding and they're willing to allow me to fix my mistakes versus the Black women that I've dealt with that just decided, well, I don't like it, so I'm just gonna get my money back. So,
Here's what I found. I want to dive in it, and I tell you, those that don't know, again, our uh blessed connection. I like to use the terminology. I learned this some years ago called blessed connections. For those that don't know or understand that we're like cousins based upon our parents and family connections. Um, I like to say or believe that that mentality was birthed out of slavery. And I call it the crab mentality because what happens is you remember the whole terminology of Uncle Tom and things of that nature. So what happens is the slave owner chooses someone to serve in a certain capacity.
Mhm.
Now, those that are not privy to that position are now hating on that person. And that person is now choosing to believe that he or she is better than those who are not in that position. So
Yeah.
I believe that it is something that is passed down, Asia, unfortunately, through the genealogy or the the family connections, where if you see somebody going up, think I'm pretty sure you eat seafood, you eat crabs or whatever, right? Okay,
Mhm.
so if you put crabs in a barrel or crabs in a bucket, live crabs, the biggest example that was given to me is a boiling hot pot of crabs. While they're in there, when they're dropped in there, they're constantly trying to pull up in the pot. Well, every time one goes up, one that's further down pulls that one that's higher. I'm trying to teach it like I feel it. Y'all have to
I
understand. Me and Asia have been doing this for years. I swear, we just call each other and we just have moments like this. But so one chooses to pull that one that has gotten higher down. And I see it being the same concept uh, happening day after day after day. You would think at the 21st century, we would have learned our lesson by now that other cultures are sitting back going, we don't have to do anything. They're going to do it to themselves.
listen.
So you sitting here as a business entrepreneur trying to come up, a single mother entrepreneur, and all you're really trying to do is provide for your child, but yet haters, which I'm learning. You see, something is in this cup. That's the problem. Um, which I'm learning, and I swear every time we get together, it's like this. Which I'm learning is we can't hate on haters anymore. And you
Mm-mm.
say, Terrence, why would you say that? Because they're doing their job.
Right.
So
That's true.
how are we going to do our job? When are we going to learn? Same thing with Satan. Everybody going, the devil made me do it. The devil made me. Why God ain't doing? Well, God's sitting back going, well, when you gonna do what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Satan is doing his job. He's supposed to stop you from purpose. That's it.
Yeah.
So Asia says, okay, well, I'm trying to operate in purpose, and yet there's a spirit that is being used on these people to interrupt my business, destroy my business, hate on my business, whatever. But until we're able to recognize that it's not the person, but a spirit on the person. This is why it's so important to have positive vibes. This is why it's so important to speak positive affirmation. This is why it's so important, because what ends up happening is, though we're able to recognize that moment of meditation that Asia often talks about, taking that moment to get your head straight, forget what somebody else is doing. And so with that being said, we have to take a break, because in the next segment, I know Asia is going to drop some dimes and drop some knowledge on how she was able to overcome the haters, overcome the emotional disruption that she had in her life, to take her business from King Cashmere to Creations to what it is now. And we'll talk about that when we return. On the next episode of Grace Talks.
My brother and I, we were talking, and he was telling me one of my superpowers was the ability to have that epic syndrome, no matter what. Because I'm like, and you know me, Terrence, I picked like, dude, you really want to try that? You know, I don't have to have the resources. If my mind is made on this,
every single time.
If my mind is made on it, I'm going to go for it. It has to be bigger than you. What's the challenge of something you know you can conquer?
Next time on Grace Talks. I am healed. So, Asia, like I said, we have quite a history, but I don't believe I know how your love story began or how it took off. I was privy to be at the very beautiful wedding, but I don't think I recall how you and John met. If you could abbreviate that, and give us a little something to say, this is how it all began, the love story, or Mathews, and we'll get to that in the next segment. But how did you meet John? What was that like?
So again, John and I actually met at Onyx. So he is the general manager, and when I met him, I could not stand him.
Come on, man.
Oh my goodness, he had the worst attitude in life. Oh my goodness, I can't even. We used to argue like because of course I would want to leave when I want to leave, and he'd tell me that I have to wait so many hours to clock out, and I would just, oh my goodness, I thought he had the worst attitude in life. I could not stand him, and I was such a rebel toward anything he said. Like anytime there was an issue and I needed a manager, I would never call him because I just felt so like I did not like him. And one day I was I had actually left and I moved to Portland temporarily. And when I moved back to Houston, I moved out there with I moved out there because I met my sister, and I moved out there to spend some time with her. And I was young, I was bouncing all over the place. Like I didn't have a real quote unquote home. Again, this goes back to me not being attached to anything or any place. And I moved out there temporarily, me and Nala, and I ended up moving back to Houston because Portland wasn't really the place for me. It was too suburban, and I was still young, living la vida loca. Yeah, real thuggish, real thuggish. And I had went back and started working there. And when I went back, I left on a horrible note. Like, I cursed him out before I left. Like, I talked to him so crazy before I left. So when I got back, I had to apologize and, kind of suck up to get, hired again. And, I went in there and my friend that I was, working with at the time, a young lady who I actually still have a very great relationship with, she was just like, we need to start back working there because it's a lot of money in Onyx. So you need to take one for the team and go ahead and flirt with him. And I was just like, ugh, him of all people? Are you serious? And she was just like, yeah, he liked you. And I'm just like, how? She was like, he always talking to you, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So I went in there and I was just like, just talking to him on some casual stuff. Never brought up wanting to work there, but just basically telling him how hard times is and, how I'm trying to figure it out and all of this. And he was just like, well, I mean, if you want to work here again, you can. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was I made him think it was his idea, but, we knew what the plan was. And I was playing around with him one day and I said, you should let me take you on a date. And he said, okay, where we're going? I said, we're going to Benihana's. And he was just like, okay, when? And I was like, okay, well, we'll go next week. I'll meet you on this particular day at this particular time. And he said, well, I don't need to have your number. I said, well, just show up. I'll be there. And I never showed up.
Wait.
But next time.
wait. We're not just gonna rush that. So everything is planned. And then you don't show up. I don't. What am I missing?
Well, he didn't show up either. When I got and I knew he didn't show up because when I got to work, I had, you know what? I'm a retired player, so I got a whole lot of game in me.
Okay.
So I walked up to him and I said, thanks for standing me up. And he said, I mean, I had stuff to do, so I didn't get a chance to just go. And right there at that moment, I knew I had him. And I held that over his head for about 2 weeks until he asked me to go on a date to that same Benihana's. And this time we went. Okay. And eventually I told him, yeah, I never showed up either. But, that was just a cute little way of me trying to get you there. And he really did like how vocal I was with him and my personality. And, he knew that I was I had just graduated at this point in time. And I left in the beginning because when I graduated and got my college degree, I thought that, those days were behind me. So I left on a bad note, said F everybody, I don't need y'all, I'm on to bigger and better things. I didn't understand how life worked and that degrees come with jobs.
Don't
I had
burn
to
the
learn
bridge.
that. So, he was more than willing to accept me back into work. And, we were going on dates. And one day I saw him, he gave someone like a hello hug. The person reached out to them and I could not stand that girl. And I walked up to him and I said, did you just hug her? And he was like, what? I was just like, yeah, no, I'm breaking up with you. That's it. We're done. And he was just like, what are you talking about? We aren't even together. And I was like, okay, we're done. So like 2 days later, I texted him and I said, so you really breaking up with me? And some way, somehow, that conversation turned into us actually being in a relationship. And I kid you not, about 2 years had went by. About a year and a half, 2 years had went by. And his dad had actually came in. Mind you, I met his family already at this point. They didn't know what I did for a living. And his dad came in and I spotted his dad across the room. And my heart sunk to my knees. And I ran like crazy. Like I did not want to see him at all. And a girl that was working there, she said, what you running from? I mean, what's the issue? Like, it's okay. Like, he's a customer like anybody else. And I'm just like, no, he's not a customer just like anybody else. Like, this is my boyfriend's bad. Like I can't, no, like that's uncomfortable. Do you see how I'm dressed? Like it was just not, it was not appropriate at all until finally he ended up walking up to me and he grabbed my hand and he said, I love you. And I want you to know I will never judge you for anything. I understand you have a child and I will never make you feel bad for providing for your child. And I just bawled in tears, like,
Pretty
oh
much.
my God, he really loves me. Like, and I kid you not, in that moment, I knew it was time for me to leave that environment because I realized that I'm a reflection of him. And regardless of if his dad said he approved of it and he didn't have an issue with it, I still felt like something inside of me did not want the woman that you say you love to be in there. So I left. I looked in the mirror and told myself, I can't do this. It's too many lost souls in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I must be a lost soul too because I'm here. Birds of a feather flock together.
Oh.
It's not just them, it's me.
Oh.
And I never went back.
So at this point, how long had you all been dating?
We have been dating for about a year and a half when I finally decided to leave. And that was after about 6 years of me being in the nightlife. 6 or 7 years of me being in the nightlife.
Okay. So let me ask this. So now we're at a year and a half. How much longer, now that you're pulling away, and I don't want to dive into what came next as it relates to business, because that's the next segment. We're going to talk about that in depth. But if you could tell me, how much longer was it that you all dated? So we're at a year and a half. How much longer before, that moment of, oh boy,
Well,
here we
when
go.
I left, surprisingly, I left about 3 days prior to Hurricane Harvey.
Okay.
So the city was shut completely down. I left with probably about $700 to my name, if that. And I was trying to figure it out. We weren't living together. I had my own apartment. I was paying $1,600 in rent. I had a $500 car note, because I was living a lifestyle. So I had to figure out, how am I gonna keep up with this lifestyle? And I started starting all kinds of businesses. Anything I could think of that was gonna bring me money, I started doing it. And I think he saw my drive to want more outside of that lifestyle. And he really appreciated me for it because I chose him over my money.
Okay.
And I had never done anything like that before. Like, it was, for the longest, it was just me and Nala. So if anybody came into my life and they didn't like what I was doing, it was just like, okay, well, I'm here and this is what it is. So figure it out. You're going to stay or you're going to leave. But for him, it was just something different. Like, he made me feel home when I was around him. You know, his parents made me feel like I was genuinely loved. And I was just doing any and everything to try to figure it out. Eventually, I had to leave my apartment because I could not afford the rent. And I downsized to a 1-bedroom apartment. I was paying, I want to say, like $900 in rent or something like that, which was significantly cheaper. And I was just trying to figure it out. Eventually, I got a job at the permitting center, and we ended up breaking up because I felt like, because I was on daytime and he was on nighttime, our hours just did not, like, we weren't clicking like we used to. And we left each other for about 2 months. And I realized that I wasn't the same person without him. Like, I didn't sleep the same with him not being around. it was, I felt like I wasn't living. I felt like I was just existing. And that's when I knew that he was the person that I really needed and wanted to be with. And he eventually called me, and here I am acting big and bad. Hey, what's up? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Life is good over here. I'm good. I ain't got no problems. I'm straight. What you got going on? Knowing that I was slowly dying on the inside.
Pride
You know,
cometh before destruction. Okay, continue.
yes. And he asked me to go on a date with him. And I said, okay, well, whatever. I'm not doing anything, I guess. And when I was on a date with him, I remember why I fell in love with him in the first place. And we got back together. And, I was so grateful because even when we were going through that period of, when we weren't together, he was still coming by my apartment doing things for Nala, like being there for her. Easter had passed, and he brought her um a Easter basket, and like he was really just still being a part of her life, even though me and him weren't on great terms. And it was just something about that said a lot, because her biological dad is not involved in her life at all. So for someone who was just in a relationship with me to care that much about her made me feel like, yeah, this is it. Like, I know I'm not gonna be able to find this type of thing anywhere else. And eventually, when we got back together, I ended up getting pregnant with Landon. Thankfully, he was a boy. John always wanted a son, so he was like over the moon happy about it. We got a place together, and maybe a year into us getting a place together, I had told him, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not what I envision my life to be. I love you, but I will not settle for being your baby mama. So
Wow.
we're gonna figure this out. Either you're gonna commit, or we can go our separate ways and co-parent with these kids. But I will not be someone's living girlfriend. I'm just not doing it. And
How did he respond to that? I mean,
of course,
we
at
know
first
that
he gave
we know the story now, but I'm just saying, how did he respond in that moment?
me. Yeah, he was not happy about it. He felt like I was giving him an ultimatum, but I think he realized that I was serious, and that now, you know, before Anala was just my child, but now we brought a whole nother child into this situation. So we're either going to figure this out and make this official for the sake of these kids and our relationship, or we're just going to go our separate ways. And, he was upset, felt some type of way about it, but eventually he proposed because he realized, like, okay, she's not playing with me. Because I literally gave him a time limit. I said, if we are together by the 4-year mark and we are not married, I'm leaving. I will figure out my income. I will get an apartment, and we can co-parent from a distance. But I will not be a living girlfriend. And he ended up proposing on our 4th anniversary of being in a relationship. Wow. Yeah.
So it sounds as if at some point in there you did state that you recognized him to be a part of your healing because the time spent apart exposed that for you.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to be without him because I needed him so much, to the point where I didn't know how to love myself if he wasn't around. And that was big for me, because for the longest, I always felt like I wasn't okay with just being by myself. But that time period when we were apart, it really made me realize I have to learn how to love myself. I have to learn how to have fun within myself. And I started reading. I got engulfed in so much Bob Proctor material. And to me, he was a virtual mentor because, and I say was because he actually passed away this past February. But he taught me so much about who I am. I am God manifested in human form.
Mm-hmm.
There is perfection deep down inside of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't need anyone to complete me. God completes me.
That's right.
So I'm happy we, took that break apart because I don't think I would have figured out who I was had we not have.
So spiritual healing, emotional healing took place in let me ask this question, and this might be one of those questions that we talked about on the break. Do you believe you operated with him a certain way because of something from your past?
Now that I look back on it, I will probably say yes, because Jonathan is a very loving, I will do anything for you type of person. He is exactly what I would have envisioned a father to be. And I think because I didn't have that relationship growing up, I subconsciously saw that in him, and I didn't know how to differentiate him being that figure from him being my partner. And I'm so thankful for where we are now, because Anala when she grows up and she remembers him as who he is as a dad in her life, she's gonna appreciate that so much. But it took that separation. And we actually, funny thing, when we were doing premarital counseling and we were talking to the lady who married us, she actually brought this to life for me. And when she first said it, it was just like, no, why would I look at my partner as a father? That's creepy. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But when I really sat with that, I thought about it. I depend on him. Sometimes I get to a space to where I need him. I can't make certain decisions without his knowledge. And I had to learn how to be a whole person without him. It's funny when people say, this person is my better half. You should never be half of anything.
That's right.
You should come together as two wholes. And there is where the magic happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
very good. Very good.
I needed that lesson. I really did.
I think that's a good pause moment, and we're gonna pay some bills, and we'll be back after this with bigger and better.
In life, we all ask the questions, why me? Why now? And why did this happen to me? But if we are honest with ourselves, as we keep living, we realize it had to happen. Why? Fate, purpose, destiny. In the long-anticipated release from G4 Life Publishing Company, author Terrence Williams takes us on a journey of some of life's lessons he has learned. On this journey, we find lessons which include makeover, it wasn't all her fault, legacy, and moving forward backwards. He encourages the reader to embrace the reality we all must face at some point in life, that whether you believe it or not, It had to happen.
Y'all don't even understand. Yeah, I mean, it's just church over here. It's just so we family. Grace Talks, y'all know we family, and me and Asia are family. We go way. I didn't want to tell y'all. I wanted y'all to figure it out on your own, but we go way back. So there's a lot in the behind the scenes that y'all won't know about.
Mm.
But all you need to know is we just had church. Asia, how many
stop.
praise breaks did you have?
Listen, you would look if you wasn't on the other end of the screen, I would have bopped you in your head with this thing in my hand. Whew. Yes, God.
So I knew that this podcast was gonna do something, astronomical, amazing. Only God could set this up. And I often tell my guests, I say, listen, don't laugh at me, Asia. I often tell my guests, I say, listen, don't be afraid. This is not a church podcast. It's just the word grace. People need to understand the full meaning of grace. But yet, every single time I have a podcast, something breaks loose. Every single time.
Look, you saw my first question. Are we gonna sip something? Okay. Well, I'm gonna get my something to sip. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate
this has just been life-changing, and I really hope that every person that encounters this podcast can experience the anointing, the presence of the spiritual connections, the positive vibes, the greater that has happened in our conversation. But I want to say this: you've come through a lot, and business is bigger and better than ever. So now happens the time that you break down and share with us how you did that. My first question to you, Asia, is what prompted the decision to go from Cashmere Creations, or I'm sorry, excuse me, King Cashmere Creations, to Mathews Co Embroidery? How did all of that happen? And I just need you to give us a clear picture, because I'm sitting on the sidelines watching it happen and I just don't know what happened. So walk me through that.
Yeah, so as I stated before, any area of life that I figured I could make money in, I started the business. I sold edge control. I sold women's workout apparel. I sold food. I had plates. Listen, I sold everything but ass. Okay. And when I tell you, none of that made me feel like I was home, but what I was doing when I first started a business, I had to figure out how to incorporate that in the growing of me. Because at this point, once me and John got engaged, I stopped referring to myself as Cashmere. I wasn't Cashmere anymore. I didn't want to be referred to as Cashmere. I used to get an attitude when people called me Cashmere.
Okay.
And even still to this day, like when people who don't recognize my growth call me that, I have to let them know my name is Asia. And
wow.
It's something about being yourself.
Come on and
Because
teach now. Come on and
longest,
teach.
I was hiding behind someone else. I was Cashmere, but I was hiding Asia. I put her in the closet. But I stand here today on this Good Friday. My name is Asia. And once I realized who I was, I started looking at King Cashmere's creations and said, this isn't something that I want to grow with. And I went to John one day and I said, babe, what if I made this a family business? What if I turned this into something that could last for years and years to come? And I wanted it to have something to do with the both of us. So I started thinking, and Mathews Co just came to my head. And I told John, and he went on Fiverr and had somebody create a logo. Mm-hmm. And it was just groundbreaking. Like, this is it. This is it. Mathews Co Printing and Embroidery. This is it. This is a brand. This is something that people would buy into. This isn't personal. This isn't a hobby. This is a business. Mm-hmm. This is a family business. And that's what you get when you hear Mathews Co. Right. It has a different connotation as opposed to King Cashmere's creations. And I let that person die. She is no longer a part of me. And it started with me customizing things as I was before. And then something kind of told me, like, I don't want to work with birthdays and wedding stuff. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to work with businesses because that's where the money is. Mm-hmm. So when you think about it, businesses have budgets, right? So you may have a company that says, we have a $25,000 budget per quarter on marketing and advertisement. I want to get a portion of that $25,000. I don't want to be someone who somebody thinks about when a birthday comes along once a year. I want to be someone who you think about that can truly help you represent your brand at trade shows, at conventions, at seminars. Like, I want to be that person that you think about to represent your brand when you're doing pop-up shops and all of these different events to where you're a venue at or a vendor at. And I was just like, this is it. I'm only going to service small businesses, corporations, and organizations. Nothing further. I don't do birthday parties. Funny thing is, I had this funny thing on Instagram where I tell people I don't do birthday parties, I don't do weddings, and I don't do funerals. I just don't. And mainly because these are last minute events. You can't help that, Papa died last Tuesday and you need some stuff for him by Friday. You can't help that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Weddings are way too emotional. It's all over the place. People don't know what they want. They have a budget, but then they don't have a budget. They know what they want to spend, but then that may be a little bit too much. I can't do that. Birthdays are too, design whatever you want. I'm not a graphic designer, so I don't do that. I like people that come to me with their logos, know what they want, already have it together. Mm-hmm. And that's just that. Green. Yes, that is green. Bye. So it works out perfectly for me. And I love what I do. I love working with businesses. I get to meet so many different people. And the great thing about working with businesses is, if I'm ever in the market I need a hairstylist for something. Mm-hmm. I can go back and say, well, I worked with Natalie Michelle. Right. So I know that she'll slay this hairstyle. Yes. Or if I'm in New York and I need a transportation service to get me from the airport to my hotel, I don't want to call Uber because I work with businesses. Let me call Genius Transportation. I know he got me. or if I need anything concerning getting my car wrapped or something like that, well, let me call such and such. It's
That's
just
good.
that simple. And I absolutely love what I do. I love the connections, and I'm just grateful for the transition. So it was a beautiful transition, to say the least, but I'm very much grateful for it. It took a lot to get here, but it's a good place to be.
That is great to hear. And I am excited at what is coming in the future. And of course, I'm going to touch that again and make sure people understand how they can communicate with you. You stepped from the place of just entrepreneurship to author recently.
Yes.
Tell me about that transition and how that came about and why, and what are you expecting from this result?
So I recently published let me go back. I recently started my publishing company.
I like that.
It is called Matt Reading. And it's another family business venture. And the first book that I decided to publish was my first ebook, The Modern Entrepreneur. And it is a guide to modern entrepreneurship, navigating through social media, navigating through what it looks like to be an entrepreneur in 2022, 2023. And just talks about mindset and all of the things you need to overcome to be successful. And the reason why I wrote this book is because about a year ago, February of last year, I posted a reel on Instagram on my business page that went completely viral, like crazy. A lot of people don't go viral 2 times in one lifetime if they're not a celebrity or something like that.
That's
so
right. That's right.
Good. And I realized that I really had a knack for business. And I learned some things about marketing. I learned things about being an entrepreneur. I learned things about what it looks like navigating through being a mother and a wife while being an entrepreneur, because it looks cute from the outside in. Oh, I'm a mom, wife, boss. But when you really get into those titles, what does that look like? I have to serve as a wife. I have to serve as a mother. I have to serve as a business owner. So serving happens from the time I wake up
Come on and teach
to the
it.
time I get in the shower before I go to sleep. And I can't slack in one area just because I'm tired. So I talk about these things, and the main thing that I tell people, the very first thing that I focus on is mindset. Because without mindset, you can go you won't go very far. Mindset is so important, that you can have so many talents, but if you don't believe in yourself, and I had to learn this for myself, if you don't believe in yourself and your capabilities and what you are, people can tell you all day long, you're beautiful, you are amazing, you are intelligent. I have never had a conversation with someone like you, but until you believe that for yourself, you won't go anywhere. This is why the successful people aren't the smartest, they aren't the brightest, they aren't the most attractive. They believe in themselves. They have that mindset that is unmatched. Anytime you have a conversation, and people say success drops clues, anytime you have a conversation with someone overly successful, the first thing they will tell you is, you have to believe in you. And that is so big. I look at DJ Khaled and Jay-Z and Warren Buffett and all of these people that I truly do admire, especially Oprah. And I watch their interviews. They believe so much in themselves. No one can come to them and tell them who they are, because they know who they are. So that's the biggest chapter in the book. And I wrote it for entrepreneurs and business owners. And I wish that I can get that into the hands of every business owner that I come across in life, because the things that I talk about in this book are truly amazing and life-changing.
I am very proud of you. When I
Thank
saw
you.
that, it catapulted me to another, and I read it, of course, and I'm just like, thought you was doing something, Terrence. Grace for Life Enterprises, come on now. So we did tap into some other realms, and so we're stepping in some deeper waters thanks to your example and your encouragement and empowerment in your writings. So I'm very, very extremely I don't I don't believe, let me make sure I say this in the correct way. I don't want you to think, or I don't believe that you need smoke blown up your butt about who you are.
Right.
But you know how I feel about you and your family. You know where my heart lies. And when I say to you that I'm extremely proud of you to overcome what you've overcome and make continuously redesign, redevelop, and redistribute. Oh, you're gonna see that in a book one day. Yourself in the way that you have. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely do. What? Wow. I'm trying to do this without the getting you emotional or myself being emotional, but I have to ask this.
Oh God.
So if you are providing advice or encouragement to a single mother, a young woman, first-time entrepreneur starting out in a new business venture, how would you advise them? What now, this is not the grace moment. That's coming up. You have your final mantra that you have to provide. So I want you to keep that separate. But what tips do you provide to those persons in this season of life on how to create or build their business venture?
I would say read.
I'm sorry.
I read. I don't think people understand how important what you take in to your subconscious mind is. I'm very conscious of the TV shows and the movies that I watch. I don't even watch TV shows anymore. I'm very conscious of the things that I listen to, the YouTube videos that I watch, because all of that can affect how you think. From the time I wake up to the time I decide to put my phone down, I'm constantly listening to things that I want to manifest in my life. I listen to inspirational podcasts all the time. I listen to inspirational videos on YouTube while I'm working. I listen to sermons all day long. But most importantly, I read, because you have to trust something. And what better to trust than your own thoughts and your own words? Sometimes I read out loud. I have a library on Apple Books full of books. I have a physical library, and all I do is read. I've already completed my first book of 2023, and my goal is 23 books this year. But when it's just something about having that time to yourself to disconnect from the world to disconnect from your responsibilities and to really just go into, when you read, I feel like you go into a different world and you're focused on everything that's jumping off the paper at you. So the book that I just finished reading is U Squared by Price Pritchett. And that book, it talks about the quantum leaps and how we don't have to be satisfied with incremental growth. You can go from $40,000 a year to $100,000 a year. You don't have to be satisfied with going from 40 to 50 to 60. No, you can make a quantum leap. And that's exactly what I did. And all of this shapes your belief system. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I tell everybody. Anytime someone comes up to me and says, I don't understand, like I'm struggling in this, I need help with this, I tell them read. The first book I always tell people, read The Secret. The Secret changed my life. Mm-hmm. This is actually when I found out about Bob Proctor. But mm-hmm. The Secret changed my life. It just talks about how you can change your financial situation. You can change your relationships. You can change how your everyday actions. I've manifested so much. And the thing about it is, we don't just manifest the good, we manifest the bad too, but no one wants to talk about that.
Right. That's
but you have to pay attention to a lot of people, they listen to vulgar music, they watch all of these horror movies and serial killer TV shows and all of this foolishness, and they wonder why they're attracting toxic things into their life. You have to be conscious of the things that you're thinking about. And that's what I tell people. And that's what I do. Even when I don't feel like it. It may be times where I find myself scrolling on Instagram for too long and I immediately check myself. Nope, Asia, put the phone down, read. And then I may drift off and start thinking about my responsibilities. Read, focus. And you have to force your body to sit still. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be kind of hard. You have to take control of your mind, because there's so many distractions in the world that if you don't take control of your mind, something will. So that's my tip.
Guys, I mean, you all are getting this. She's not even at the empowerment speaking sessions where you have to pay $100, $200, $250, $500, $120 to enter for registration. She's giving this stuff for free. And when we come back, oh my Lord, she's going to give us whatever she has for the grace moment. You don't want to miss it. This has been absolutely life-changing, amazing, so much wisdom and knowledge. Asia, for those who want to follow you, get in touch with you, call you for speaking engagements or consultations or anything like that, how is it that a person can follow you or get in touch with you?
You can actually find me on Instagram at Mrs.A. Mathews or Mathews, the letter NCO. And Mathews has one T. You can also find me on TikTok, Mathews Co. You can find me on Facebook, Asia Mathews. Yeah, that's about it.
And you gave that email address also?
Oh, my email address is contact CONTACT at MathewsAndCo.com. So that's contact at MathewsandCo.com.
Okay. So, Asia, you know I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you love me. I ain't told the people how much I love the kids, what they mean to me. That I don't know if Landon would see me as a godfather, but Nala belong to me. Just listen, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that's clear.
Landon don't see nothing but dinosaurs.
Say again.
He don't see nothing but dinosaurs.
At the end of all of our podcasts, I have chosen either to allow our special guests, and you are absolutely a special guest, or myself, we would do what's called the grace moment. In the grace moment, it's where we allow the person to share an inspirational moment, a thought of the day, a provoke to action moment, final words, or anything like that that may be laid on your heart to share with people to leave them in a moment of thinking. So I submit to you at this moment, you have the grace moment, and you give us what you want us to have to stand and walk by on a daily basis or live by or whatever. It's in your hands now, the grace moment.
Okay. So if I
On the next episode of Grace Talks.
My brother and I, we were talking, and he was telling me one of my superpowers was the ability to have that epic syndrome, no matter what. Because I'm like, and you know me, Terrence, I picked like, dude, you really want to try that? I don't have to have the resources. If my mind is made on this,
every single time.
If my mind is made on it, I'm going to go for it. It has to be bigger than you. What's the challenge of something you know you can conquer?
Next time on Grace Talks. This has been absolutely life-changing, amazing, so much wisdom and knowledge. Asia, for those who want to follow you, get in touch with you, call you for speaking engagements or consultations or anything like that, how is it that a person can follow you or get in touch with you?
You can actually find me on Instagram at Mrs.A Mathews or Mathews, the letter NCO. And Mathews has one T. You can also find me on TikTok, Mathews and Co. You can find me on Facebook, Asia Mathews. Yeah, that's about it.
Do and you gave that email address also?
Oh, my email address is contact CONTACT at MathewsAndCo.com. So that's contact at MathewsandCo.com.
Okay. So, Asia, you know I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you love me. I ain't told the people how much I love the kids, what they mean to me. That I don't know if Landon would see me as a godfather, but Nala belong to me. Just listen, I just want to make sure that's clear.
Landon don't see nothing but dinosaurs.
Say again.
He don't see nothing but dinosaurs.
At the end of all of our podcasts, I have chosen either to allow our special guests, and you are absolutely a special guest, or myself, we would do what's called the grace moment. In the grace moment, it's where we allow the person to share an inspirational moment, a thought of the day, a provoke to action moment, final words, or anything like that that may be laid on your heart to share with people to leave them in a moment of thinking. So I submit to you at this moment, you have the grace moment, and you give us what you want us to have to stand and walk by on a daily basis or live by or whatever. It's in your hands now, the grace moment.
Okay. So if I could leave you with anything, I would say be grateful. I know that with social media, it's so easy to find yourself in a space of comparison, but we hear the phrase comparison is the thief of joy, but we don't really think about that like we need to. It's not just about comparing yourself to your neighbor or to a stranger, but it's about comparing yourself to the past you, being in that state of regret, comparing yourself to what you see to be the future you, being in a state of anxiousness. All of that steals your joy. So I would definitely say be grateful for where you are, everything you have, and who you have. I heard a quote by someone, I can't remember who it was, but they said, if you woke up this morning with all that you thank God for yesterday, what would you have? And that hit me kind of hard because we say consciously, oh, thank you for this meal. Thank you for allowing me to not be in traffic. Thank you for allowing me to be able to pay for something. But are we really thanking God for the important things? Thank you for another day to be a better mother.
Oh God.
Thank you for another day to show my husband how much I appreciate him. Thank you for another day to live authentically. Thank you for another day to not doubt myself and my creativity. You have to be grateful for every single part of you and not just the pieces of you that you feel like are in according to the person that you plan to be one day. Thankful for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am grateful for all of the people that left. I'm grateful for all of the people who I had to leave because they all taught me certain lessons. Don't look down on anything that you're going through and see it as, these are bad times. Just like Terrence said, all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. All things. It's funny because, sometimes we find ourselves rushing to get certain places. But I had to really stop and think. And now, when I find myself being too anxious to get somewhere, I pause and say, is God protecting me from an accident? Is he protecting me from a wild driver? Is he protecting me from someone that may just want to shoot off into something and I just so happen to be standing there? You have to listen and be still. There is a voice inside of all of us. We choose to ignore it, but there's a voice inside of all of us. That voice, when you're down in those depression stages and you hear something that says, get up, This is not you. That's God. You hear that voice that says, you are better than this. You don't deserve this. Abuse is not your story. You have a better portion. That is God. So, regardless of what you are going through, because we all go through things, right? Some may hide it better than others, but we all go through things. Mm-hmm. I can be so prolific in my words, but as I sit here, I'm going through some things. I've been taking so many hits lately that, as I said earlier, this morning it was hard for me. But that voice that said, get up, walk, do what you need to do, step in your purpose. Yes. You have people counting on you. That is God. And that's what I choose to listen to. So all of those other voices that try to creep into your head and tell you you're not good enough and you won't ever be able to do this, you got to recognize their voice and say, hell no. I refuse to give into that. And when you do, woo, the world better be ready for you. Listen, the world better be ready for you.
I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I've had love and connections, and you know, you can't get rid of me if you tried. For those of you who don't know, we didn't say it throughout the recording, but I'll acknowledge it now that my beautiful goddaughter is Asia's daughter, and I love her from the, you know, from the bottom of my heart until eternity, infinity, whatever. And I got her back, and Asia, I say to you as the exact same way. However I need to be there, however you need me, you know, you can call, you can reach out. We are there for one another. Whatever, you know, all you got to do is pick up the phone. Absolutely. And I will stop whatever I'm doing. John I've told him, but John knows that I got his back in anything he needs, tech wise, media wise, whatever, publishing wise, whatever. Guys, you need to get whatever Asia is selling. I don't care what it is. Just figure it out. If you need a logo, you didn't talk about the what is that process called, Asia?
Digitizing.
In the business where you'll create the graphic or whatever and send it to whomever. What is that process called? You know what I'm talking about. The part where I contact you to send something to somebody else.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, just reach out to Mathews Co for whatever it is. This has been, it's always, guys, I know we did this for you all, but it's always like this for me in Asia. Always. Yeah. She goes, this is what I get. You need to call me because we ain't talked in a while and we need to have 1 hour sessions. So this is normal for us, but we decided to share one of our moments with you all. So I pray that it has been a blessing to you. Thank you again for entrusting Grace Talks to be there for you. And as we always say, take every day as an opportunity to grow with grace. Until next time, be blessed.
If you have a question or would like us to discuss a specific topic, Grace Talks wants to hear from you. You can email us at gracetalks@graceforlife.com. That's grace_talks@grace-4-life.com.